Hello. Welcome to the Skeins of Dreams Knitting Podcast. I'm Megha. I'm also known as Skeins of Dreams on Instagram and on Ravelry. And I usually come here to talk about my knitting and making journey with all of you. If you're new here, welcome and thank you for checking out my video. And if you're a returning viewer, as always, welcome back and thank you so much for being here. I think it has been a while, and my last video was the one with my mom, and I straight away want to thank everybody who watched that video and commented on it. I got such a warm response on the video with my mother, which was really nice, and she thoroughly enjoyed recording it, and also she read all your comments, and she's very thankful for everyone who left. Everyone left such a lovely message, so she's very thankful for that, and both of us are quite humbled by your generosity. Thank you so much. Yeah, so this video is just me. I will record another video with my mom pretty soon because she is definitely crafting, and I would like to share an update on her crafty journey as well. I am yet to finish the crochet blanket. She finished her bit of it. I'm sewing the crochet blanket together, so I will update everyone on that when I record again with my mom. So yeah, so thank you so much for that. And I decided I'd come back here today and give you an update on my making shenanigans since the last time we spoke. It has been a while, and my work has kept me very busy, and I have been traveling a bit, and then this past weekend I went to CITY Montreal. So I thought I'd come and give you an update on all my projects, and then also talk a bit about CITY Montreal. And as some of you, or I have mentioned before, as most of you know, I went to City with Mel of Mel Makes Stuff and Selma of Little Big Knits, and the three of us had gone to Vermont Sheep and Wool Festival last year, and we really hit it off, and we decided we would do another knitting festival. So we decided this time we would go to CITY Montreal. So I'm here to tell you everything about what we did there. So maybe I will start with my projects first, because I can then transition into City and then to talk about my acquisition. So if I keep the acquisitions and the City talk together, that might make more sense. And I can start off with my project update. So I am wearing a finished object. I mean, I've finished, it's been done for a while, and it's just that I haven't recorded for so long. I was traveling for work, and then I just got busy, and weekends weren't free anymore, and I just didn't have mojo to record a podcast. But now today I feel like I have the mood to talk about my knitting, and then also to tell you all about CITY Montreal. So I'm here again. So the last time you saw me, I was knitting on the Tankar Tee by Anina of the Annie UT Knits podcast, and I have since finished it, and I have been wearing it a lot. I am in love with this design. It is amazing, and it is so simple and so effective. I just love it. Anina has done a fabulous job with this design, and I think she's also planning to make a sweater with a similar pattern. This is just a drop shoulder tee, so it has no sleeve, so you just do the shaping around the shoulders, and that's what forms your sleeve. So it has ribbing, and then garter, and then stockinette. The garter actually has short row shaping to give a good shape to the t-shirt. You seam the shoulder front and back together, And yeah, and it's like knit in the round after joining for the underarm. So it's a very simple and very effective pattern. It looks so flattering on everybody who's made it, and I definitely am interested in the sweater version. My this tee is made in Tankar Yarns. Coronado is the base. It's a 90% cotton, 10% silk. The color is Hunter, and I bought this on webs like yarn.com in the US. So it's a pretty big yarn store, and they have a lot of beautiful yarns. And so I just happened to I'm subscribed to their newsletter or something, so they keep sending all these different yarns, and then I just came across this one. I thought the cotton silk blend was interesting, and it wasn't very expensive, so I think it's for my size. I made it under $50 maybe. So yeah, I think usually I do end up spending more than that when I buy like fancy yarn or something. I know there are other cheaper yarn options that can. I think Drops Bell is a very, very good contender. I don't know if Nina made hers in Drops Bell, but someone else did, and that's a very good affordable substitute, I would say. But yeah, it's a great pattern. I love the yarn. I've been wearing it quite a bit, and the yarn hasn't pilled or anything. I'm gonna put a picture of me in the top. I can't stand up. I'm just wearing like these weird joggers, so I didn't want to stand up, but maybe I can. So yeah, so I've made it the length that was mentioned in the pattern. And yeah, you do some shaping to reduce stitches around the armhole. And this was not as big when I first washed it. Since I've been wearing and it's cotton, it has grown a little, and I feel like if I wash it again, it will kind of go back and then it will grow again. So that usually happens with cotton linen makes. So I'm super happy with my Tankar Tee, and thank you so much, Anina, for the opportunity. Yep, so that's a finished object I have that I was working on the last time I saw you. I have a lot of works in progress going on. I've just been casting on without any, care for the number of projects I already have on my needles, but that is usually how it goes with me. You already know that. So let's get going with my works in progress. So my first work in progress, which I've done the most of, I don't think I had cast this on last time. By the time I was recording, I cast it right after I spoke to you. This I'm making a test knit for Jessica McDonald's. This design is called the Violet Tee. It's a very, very beautiful drop shoulder construction. You actually cast on for the back, you knit the back until your armhole, then you pick up stitches for both the fronts and you do neck shaping. And once you do the neck shaping, you then join it in the front and then join the thing in the round, and you continue in stockinette. And I'm actually at the point where I have to start lace. So the bottom 3 inches has a lace pattern, and then there's ribbing, and the sleeves are short. And then of course you have to do the neckline and everything. So this is a very simple fingering weight pattern, and it has beautiful simple lace at the bottom, which I'm looking forward to doing because this stockinette has taken me a while to get through. All of last week I was in Detroit for a conference for work. So for a week I was over there. I was there from Sunday last week till Friday. So I got very little knitting done, but since it's fingering and lightweight, I was able to do a row here or there, and actually that does add up and help to get the project done. So yeah, I'm at the point where I have to begin the lace, and I'm super pleased with how this is looking. The gauge is a fine gauge, it's a 26 stitch gauge, so that just does take a bit in my size. The test knit is actually due end of this month. I'm just hoping I make it. Even if I don't, even if it's a day or two late, I'm sure Jessica she wouldn't mind. I am working on it consistently, so I hope to get done. I think the lace portion will go by quickly because it's lace. Stockinette is just like, it just feels like it takes forever. So yeah, so that's the first thing I'm working on. I'm using so there used to be a fiber mill, EcoView fiber mill. I don't remember where they were based, maybe North Carolina or something. So they actually unfortunately went out of business last year, and they had all their yarns for 50% off on their website, and I was subscribed to their newsletter, so I came to know about this sale, and I was able to buy this 50% wool, 50% tencel base. The yarn is called Lapidary, and the colorway is pink tourmaline. I don't know if I'm saying that right. But it's a beautiful yarn. It has some sort of a sheen to it, and I am thoroughly enjoying working with this. Like, it's so easy on my hands, it just glides on my needles, so I'm super pleased. I know stockinette fingering weight, like fine gauge projects, take forever, but their wearability is amazing because you can wear it in the summer, and then you can wear it shoulder seasons, and you can even layer it in the winter. So they're an all year knit, and I'm super pleased that I'm making this. So the sleeves are short, and they should be done no problem. I think it'll only take me a day or two to do the sleeves, but yeah, I need to get going on the lace. So that is project number 1. And then another project which has been calling me for a while, and I just decided, you know what, I have to cast this on. I haven't done so much on it, but I started it, which I've been thinking of doing since a couple of years now. So I had this beautiful yarn from Woolen Palette. Emily is a natural dyer, and I think she's somewhere in the Pacific Northwest, and she has beautiful colors and beautiful yarn. So I had 4 skeins of her yarn in different shades of pink, peach, and I wanted to make a striped tee, and I've been thinking of that for a really long time. And recently my friend Jennifer Parosini came out with her classic LBD raglan t-shirt pattern. So she has beautiful neck shaping, and it's a basic raglan, but she does have cup shaping for bigger bust people. I usually for her patterns don't have to do cup shaping, and the way you determine it is she makes you measure your upper bust, like just below your underarm, and then she makes you measure your full bust, and then she makes you do a calculation to determine how much difference is there. And then you measure yourself from your shoulder to your bust apex, and then you measure yourself from your shoulder to like the same place on your back, and you can tell how much more your bust protrudes forward, so how much more fabric you need in the front so that your top doesn't lift up in the front, if that makes sense. So she has she actually made 2 versions. The second version, she forgot to do cup shaping for herself, and then she did a video on YouTube where she cuts open her t-shirt or like her knitted top to add cup shaping, and that is a very it's a very good tutorial if you want to get into cup shaping and see what the impact of cup shaping can be. That's a very effective video, I would say. So I don't need cup shaping, but I thought I would let you know that pattern has an option for it. Jennifer's patterns are always very size inclusive and very thoughtful. So this is my classic LBD. As you can see, I've done the back shaping, and these are the 4 colors in which I'm making it. So I know this pink and this purple is quite similar, but I think I like the effect that they're giving. So it's almost a peach and then a pink, dark magenta, or like hot pink kind of a color. It's brighter in person than it's showing up on screen. And then there is this purple, and these are all natural dyes. Emily, whose woolen palette, does a beautiful job with her dyes, and I am absolutely in love with the stripes. I have just joined for the front, so there's like absolutely nothing in the front right now. I started the project and I kind of have to give it a bit of a break because I got kind of obsessed by other projects. Meanwhile, I just suddenly started feeling like I'm doing so much stockinette, and I really wanted to do something a little more interesting. So even though I love the stripes and I'm gonna get it done in the background, this is waiting until I finish my violet tea test. So yeah, so that is my classic LBD striped pink fun t-shirt. and I will make the sleeves. I have not decided, maybe until my elbows, or maybe I'll see if I'll have enough yarn for 3/4 length sleeves, but I can always wear it in the fall because this is 100% non-superwash wool, so I should be able to wear it in the fall as well. So it'll just be shoulder season or even a winter one with layers. So again, a fingering weight and quite a fine gauge. The classic LBD is at a 26 stitch gauge, but I didn't get 26 stitches with this yarn, so I decided I'll just do it at a 24 stitch gauge. It's a raglan, I can manage. So yep, that's the second work in progress. And I actually forgot to bring my third and very fun current favorite work in progress, so let me just bring that. Okay, so my friend Casey from the Young Folk Knits podcast had recently done a cable roundup video where she talked about her favorite cable patterns, and I was watching that, and I had this yarn in my stash for a while. This is the Rowan Soft Yak DK in this Tuscan red. I actually made a cardigan for my mom late last year, the Gartogan by Tori Yu, and I made it in a purple shade of this yarn, which is the Soft Yak DK. And while I was knitting my mom's cardigan, I was absolutely completely in love with the yarn, and I was like, you know what, I know I'm gonna give this cardigan to my mother, so I kind of want this yarn for myself. So I ended up buying this Tuscan red is the name of this colorway, and since I've got this yarn, I've been thinking about a nice cabled sweater to make in this, and I just could not settle on the pattern. For a while I was thinking a Julie Hoover design, and I kept like, I don't know, I couldn't cast on, like I kept thinking about it, and when I overthink stuff like that, I feel like maybe they're just not meant to be. So then I was watching Casey's video, and she mentioned this Nora Gone pattern, which had been in my favorites and in my Ravelry queue forever. But for some reason, as it goes, you just get overwhelmed by patterns and you forget about the ones that you really wanted. And she mentioned the Shifting Sands pullover by Nora Gone, and I started my Shifting Sands in this lovely Tuscan red. And oh my god, this is the yarn combination, and like the combination of the yarn and pattern is everything. Like I am so in love with this project. I hope you can see it. It's beautiful. The cables, though the pullover is fully cabled and looks like it would be complicated, honestly the cables are quite I would call them easy-ish. I mean, you still need to know how to do cables. I'm actually not using cable needles at all. I'm able to do it just by using my needles themselves, like holding the stitches and cabling without a cable needle. And though the chart cannot be I can't memorize the chart, I have to keep it in front of me and just kind of remind myself, oh, this is what you do. And then I'm able to do it without actually referring to the chart for every repeat. As you can see, I have marked the repeats with stitch markers, and I'm also knitting this in the round. Originally, the pattern is knit flat front and back and then seamed at the sides. But I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna knit it in the round. And that is actually helping me because I don't have to keep looking at the chart again and again when I do the front and the back, because I look at the chart, I know what the round is, and then I'm able to do the whole round without looking at the chart again. So I'm able to do front and back together at the same time because I'm knitting in the round. I actually cast on double the stitches for the front and back, and what I ended up doing was knitting 2 rows flat and then joining in the round. So I have like this little V coming here which I'm gonna seam together, and I just did that because there were like 300 plus stitches for front and back together for me, and I just didn't want to join it in the round and then invariably twist my stitches or inevitably twist my stitches. So I decided to do 2 rounds flat and then join the project in the round. I'm so happy with how this is looking, and I love the cables in this yarn. It's beautiful. So this yarn has become one of my all-time favorites. And it's like a cotton yak blend, so it's not as warm, and I like that because it's done the cables. And I don't think I have enough yarn to do full sleeves, just like in the pattern sample. So I'm just gonna knit the sleeves as much as possible. I'll see with how much yarn I'm left over to decide the length of my sleeves. So yeah, I'm super excited about the shifting sands. It's working really well. And yep, I was knitting on this while I was at CITY Montreal. I was able to knit while talking to people. I mean, I wasn't like actually knitting without looking, but you know, knitting in between then talking, and I was able to manage just fine. I did mess up a couple of times and had to think back and everything, but it's okay, that's how it goes. I can't promise I wouldn't have messed up if I was just knitting and not talking to people, so that always happens. Okay, so the next project is part of Salma's Scrappy Stashy make along that she's hosting, and like I think Yana of Finnish Knitting Stories was also hosting a Scrappy Blanket make along, and then of course Leanne from the Nitty Stew is hosting Busting My Balls, like Stash Buster make along this year. So I got inspired by all these podcasters, and I was like, you know what, I need to go through my scraps and I need to find something to do with all my scraps. And I wanted to add my advents from last year to the mix. I had an advent calendar from Cami June Knit Yarns, Camilla, who's a friend of mine, and also I did an advent exchange with a group of podcasters. We're all on Instagram on a message group together, and we all sent like advents. We prepared advents from our stash and sent them to each other, and I received my advent from Anastasia of Free Your Sheep podcast, and I got very, very beautiful yarns from Anastasia, so I used them and my advent from Camilla and my scraps, and what I basically did was segregated all the yarn into color families. Like I had pinks, reds, purples, orange, yellows and browns, grays and blacks, cream, white, beige, some, did I say greens already? Then there were some blues. So I segregated all the yarns into color families, and I decided that I'm going to do a gradient starting from whites and creams and going into other colors. I'm deciding how to do the transition as I go. I was not able to, it became overwhelming looking at all this yarn laid out and trying to decide from the get-go how the entire blanket needs to look like. What I decided to do is I will start the project, I'll keep adding yarns, and I'll see where the blanket takes me, kind of a thing. I took my yarn, and it was all fingering weight yarn, and I decided to hold fingering weight together, held double to make a DK. And I'm using a fine crochet hook, 3.75 I think. Usually I use bigger crochet hooks, so 3.75 is actually finer than usual for me, but it has turned out into a very pretty crochet blanket. I am super pleased with this. I know the first yarn, it seems like the darker, like lighter one should have been here. Honestly, this one, I didn't realize that it was so pink. Like that yarn in the skein looked like very beige, but then next to the others it started looking pink. So anyway, that is how my blanket is looking. As you can see, it's pretty wide. I think it's a good width. And I am still in the pinks. There's a lot of pinks to go through. I'm also using single skeins that I know that I won't be able to use anywhere else, and I'm only using superwash yarns for this one because I want to be able to wash the blanket, and I'll put all my non-superwash yarn scraps together in a different blanket so the care can be easy, right? Like if I know the entire blanket is non-superwash, I know how to take care of it. Versus this one, I can possibly throw it in the washer, but I don't want to, it's so pretty. So yeah, so this is my crochet blanket. This is just granny stripe blanket. I'm using the pattern by Green Letter Day. It's a free pattern on Ravelry, and I am super pleased with how my scrappy blanket is looking so far. And initially I got like super excited about it, and I started like I was crocheting quite regularly, and in the last couple weeks I have kind of let it go because I was traveling and everything, and it's not a travel friendly project. But I am quite excited about this, and it will keep happening in the background. And I actually had to restart it because I didn't want a very open blanket, and I feel like this is dense enough while still giving some drape because it's a DK weight as I'm holding fingering double. So yeah, so this is my fun scrappy crochet blanket. All right, I do have some other cast on plans. I obviously signed up for more test knits. There is a vest pattern which I am supposed to cast on soon, and that's due next month. So as soon as I get a bit more done on my violet tee, I'm gonna cast that on. And then I ended up buying yarn, obviously, at the Knit City Montreal festival, and I really want to knit some of those projects. So I will keep you updated as and when I do that. Okay, so without waiting any further, let's talk about Knit City Montreal. The festival was over Saturday, Sunday. Today's the 22nd, so it was the 20th and the 21st of May. And we decided we couldn't do both Saturday, Sunday, and we'd only go to the festival on Saturday because I wanted to drive back home on Sunday, and Montreal is about 9-hour 15-minute drive from here, so it's pretty far. So I needed pretty much all of Sunday to drive back, so we only went to the festival on Saturday. But my trip started on Thursday itself because I decided to pick up Selma. Selma, as you all already probably know, she hurt her wrist and had to go through surgery, and so she wasn't gonna be able to drive. So I decided that I'd go to Ottawa first and pick up Selma. And I actually recorded a little clip. I tried to vlog, but it didn't happen. So I actually recorded a little clip on my way to see Selma, and I'm gonna insert that here. Hello. I'm actually on the way to Ottawa. Today is Thursday and I don't know the date exactly, but I'm going to Selma's house today, and tomorrow we'll go to Montreal. I'm halfway. It's an 8.5 hour drive, so I'm halfway through, only half the way left now. I'm sure crossing the border will take longer than we expect. So, but yeah, I kind of wanted to do a vlog of this trip. I don't know if this will succeed. So if you're seeing this, it did succeed. I actually, don't worry, I'm not driving. I'm actually at a rest stop. So I'm gonna get some snacks and then carry on the rest of the way. So yeah, I will keep recording snippets so that I can put them together and talk about my weekend at CITY Montreal. Yep. Oh, also, I'm wearing my summer ranunculus today. This is the one I made in BC Garn Bio Balance. I don't remember the color. I think it might have been rust or something. Oh, also you can see that big bag in the back there. That's full of yarn. And we're gonna talk more about why I have such a big bag of yarn. And yeah, about the ranunculus, I wanted to mention that, I mean, there has to be some sort of rule, right? Like if you're going to see Selma, you have to obviously wear a knit, and then you have to either wear a ranunculus or a vest. Okay, let's make that rule up if it doesn't already exist. So yep, I'm wearing my summer ranunculus. This has been with me for almost 2 or 3 years, and I love this. This yarn has held up really well, and it hasn't pilled or anything. It's like 50 cotton, 50 wool. So yeah, it's one of those sturdy, reliable yarns, I would say. I made this yarn held double. It's fingering weight, but I held it double and used, I think, US 10 needles. So yep, day 1 of my weekend, I had to tell you what I was wearing. Okay, so now that we saw that clip, I reached Ottawa at about 9 p.m. on Thursday. Selma and I went for a quick walk and had some tea. We knit a bit in the evening, chatted away as usual. I met her family. I met Yoda. I felt like I was meeting a celebrity when I met Yoda. I was so happy. She's so cute, and she definitely likes me. I feel like I'm kind of a cat magnet. Like, cats don't completely hate me. Every time I go to a friend's place who have cats, they like me in general. So I was so happy to see Yoda, and she's so cute. Oh my god. I had the best evening with Yoda jumping around in the living room, and I was knitting and talking to Selma. It was so much fun. So we had a quiet evening. I mean, I only got there at 9 p.m. so it wasn't like we had a lot of time. And then the next morning, I woke up early. I made some coffee for myself, and Selma and her family were around. And I was knitting in the morning. And while everyone was doing their thing, I was just like sitting in a corner and knitting. And then we left Ottawa about 10 a.m. in the morning and decided to drive to Montreal first. Even though our check-in was later at 3 p.m, we decided we'd go to Montreal and have lunch. So it was a 2-hour drive from Ottawa, and we reached Montreal about noon. We found a lunch spot, and we had a very nice lunch together. I think more than the lunch itself, I really enjoyed the London fog tea I had. It was very nice, and I took some videos of our lunch spot and the tea we had. So I'm gonna put, while I'm talking as usual, I'm gonna put like footage on the screen here so you can see it. So after lunch, we just like kind of hung out in the I forget the name of the restaurant. We were just like stalling there, knitting a bit, waiting for Mel, because Mel was driving from her house on Friday, and she was gonna get to Montreal by like 2:45. in the afternoon. So we all decided that we'd meet at Les Maisons Tricoté, which is like a yarn store. Is it Les or La? Sorry, I am not a French speaker in any way, but we decided to go to a yarn store, and and we thought we'd meet there, but it was kind of it was very busy because it was a long weekend in Canada, so Montreal was very busy. There was a lot of traffic. We had issues finding parking, so we somehow managed to park, and then we went to the yarn store. But by the time we parked and all of that, and knowing that we would go to the festival the other day, we really didn't buy anything. We just like looked around the store, and I've actually been to La Maison Tricoté before because I went to Montreal about 5 years ago, and I went to the yarn store, so I had already seen the store and everything. But yeah, after that we found there's a button store close to it, so we ended up going to the button store. Oh my god, it was so overwhelming. There were buttons of every color, every size, every shape. It was just insane. Like Mel and I were saying we need a shop like this close by, because I always struggle looking and finding buttons in the area, and doing them purchasing online is like kind of a hassle for buttons. I don't know if there are any stores in Pittsburgh. I actually haven't done my homework and looked around for them, but that was such a beautiful store. But I did get overwhelmed and I didn't end up buying anything. I mean, if you don't have a project in mind, it's really hard to buy buttons. I did consider buying buttons and then figuring out a project around it, like if I bought fancy enough buttons, but it didn't happen. I was too overwhelmed. I couldn't keep a thought straight in my head. So after that, we went to check in to our Airbnb. So that was a whole epic scenario. So I have to preface this with the fact, and I think in my video I already mentioned, Selma, Mel and I, we decided to do a yarn swap. So each of us picked out yarns from our stash that we weren't feeling too attached to, and we brought all that yarn to the festival, and we set up our own little yarn store in our Airbnb so that each of us can look at the other's yarn stash and then pick what we wanted. So it wasn't going to be like no money exchange or anything. We were just taking yarn and leaving yarn behind. So it was so much fun to do that, but we all came with so much yarn, and then our Airbnb was on the 4th floor with no elevator, so we were like lugging all this stuff upstairs and then like setting up, and it was a hassle kind of. But it was the best thing ever, of course, just the transportation of this yarn. I mean, thankfully it's yarn and it's not heavy, right? But it was a bit of a task to get everything upstairs, and then Selma laid everything out, so we had like a huge store of our own, and it was so much fun to see everyone's choices, and we walked away with a lot of lovely yarn. And I took a lot of neutrals from my stash because I had gone through this phase where I was like, oh yeah, I want to make beige stuff, and and then I realized that that's not my true calling. So I had a lot of neutral yarn that I wanted to destash, and I'm thinking that the yarns that Selma and Mel didn't end up taking, and I brought that stuff back with me, I might do a destash on Instagram or Ravelry or something. So I'm planning to still destash those yarns. And I did end up with beautiful yarns from their collections. So I got at least 3 sweater quantities, 1 for Baljit and 2 for me. And I think I picked up knickknacks here or there. And then Selma also brought us yarn gifts. And I can maybe show you that one if I find it easily enough. Selma got us this beautiful Ontario sock yarn by Alley Cat Yarns, and Alley Cat Yarns were at the festival, but before the festival we already got like this beautiful pretty yarn. It's 80% Dorset, and 20% mohair. So this is a non-nylon Canadian sock base. So I'm really excited to use this. This color is fantastic. I love it so much. So we got some festival yarn before this festival started, and then I'll show you what I got for myself. I think Baljeet's yarn, I kind of didn't bring it downstairs. There's just too much to bring. But Mel used to dye yarn in her past life, kind of, a while ago. And I didn't know Mel back then, of course. I think Selma did, and she bought some yarn from her back then. So I got this lovely orange, and a lot of it, like 5 skeins of this. This is a merino nylon, I believe. And this color was called Moab, I think. And I got 5 skeins of this for myself, and I want to make like this epic massive cardigan fingering weight that'll be so pretty with lace or like texture or something. So I'm super excited about this color. It's definitely one of my favorite colors. So yep, so we got yarn even before the festival began, which was like a thing, right? Crazy thing. So the other sweater quantity for myself I got is this Stellina marine, I think this is also merino nylon Stellina, and in this beautiful pink color. And is this called blush or something? I don't remember the colorway name, but I walked away with 3 skeins of this, and I have decided to make it a lento, and I actually got the yarn to pair with this at the festival, so I will show you that in a bit. But yeah, this was dyed by Mel, and I feel so special. I have yarn from Mel that she dyed back in the day, and she doesn't dye anymore, so special yarn. I actually did take a few more skeins of superwash, which are not my colors, but I have a friend who loves turquoise and greens and blues, and I asked Mel if it was okay that I gave those to her, and so I'm gonna send my friend a few of Mel's skeins as well. Alright, so that's what we did. We got there, we laid out all our yarn, and then we started doing this swap and like looking at each other's yarns and everything. It was so much fun. And then we had dinner plans already decided, and we met Nancy from Knit Sip Happy for dinner. We were supposed to meet others as well, but it didn't work out, and like Montreal was very busy for the long weekend, and it was hard to find a quiet dinner place. We ended up going to some, I think it's called Central or something. It's just a big food court with like space for a lot of people. So we ended up going there for dinner. We had a very nice dinner and had a good time chatting away, of course, about the festival. And yeah, then we came back to the Airbnb, and of course we were knitting and chatting away into late evening. So all the wonderful talk about yarn and knitting and podcasting, it was a lot of fun. And then finally Saturday was the day of the festival, right? So first thing in the morning we got ready. We woke up quite early, and then like we're knitting for a bit, and then decided to get ready and go to the festival. Thankfully, the Airbnb was only a 5-minute walk away from the Sheraton in Montreal where the festival was being held, so that was a quick walk. We picked up some coffee on the way, got to the festival, and oh my god, it was insane. There were so many people packed in that space. The vendors were completely like busy first thing in the morning. I think people were there from 9 a.m. onwards. We only got there around 10 or so, and it was just ridiculously busy. And it took us a bit to like calm down and figure out who all the vendors were, what all was available. So and people were coming up to us and they were talking about our podcast, and I met a lot of viewers, and thank you so much if you stopped us and said hi. It was so lovely to meet all of you. A lot of you actually said that you really enjoyed my podcast with my mom, so I was very happy to hear that, and thank you so much if you said hi. It was really lovely to see all of you. And yeah, so what we ended up doing, Mel and I kind of went around the festival. We kept losing Salma here and there because everybody was talking to Selma, and like she was busy interacting with people, so we kept kind of losing her and then like getting back in touch with her and then losing her again, which is what we expected would happen because everybody knows Selma and Selma knows everybody. So Mel and I kind of quietly went off on our own and took like a full lap of the vendor space and saw who all were there. Just took like one glance at all the yarn to decide what we wanted to, because once you break the, the first purchase you make is like you'll open the dam and then you're just inundated with all the yarn purchases following after that. So we didn't do the first purchase right away. We just like went and looked and took a look at everything, saw what all we kind of made a mental note of the dyers we wanted to go back to. So this Knit City Montreal was very different from Vermont in that way. Vermont Sheep and Wool Festival had a lot of local yarns, producers, there were sheep and everything. Knit City I felt like had a higher percentage of hand-dyed yarn and everything, but it was just amazing, beautiful yarns there. Of course the big names at the festival were Saunder Yarn, and like Espace Tricot was there, and Mayak was there, and those booths were like completely filled with people, at least on the Saturday. It was really hard to even get through to the to the booth. So after we did a first pass, we then started going to the vendors that we really wanted to buy from. And we had some ideas because I had one project I wanted to buy for is the Moon Crush Tank by Jacqueline Cieslak. It's an intarsia project with 3 colors, and even in my size you only need 1 skein per color. And I absolutely love how the tank looks. So I always wanted to try the Saunder Muse base, which is a 90 merino 10 linen, and I had made up my mind even before we went there that I wanted to buy some Muse. And then when I saw the Moon Crush tank the night before, I was like, you know what, I have to make this and I have to buy yarn for this. So this is the color combination I ended up with. So I'm thinking that if you've seen the picture of the tank, this color will be closest to my face, and that's the order in which I will make the Moon Crush tank. This is Goddess, that's the colorway. This is Greige, and this is Mint Condition. So yep, I am super excited about making the Moon Crush tank. So this is the first, it's not the first thing I picked up, this is one of the things I picked up, and it checked my box because I wanted to buy some Saunder yarn in person. I have some Saunder 4-ply, Sunday morning 4-ply already, but I kind of wanted to try, I wanted to look at the colors in person to buy for the Moon Crush tank, so that's what I ended up doing. I did end up with another thing from Saunder, and I'm just like hunting through my bag for it. So I did end up buying a sock skein, and this color is the same as this color. This is the Muse base, but this is the sock yarn. It is 80 merino 20 nylon. This is my favorite sock yarn base, 80-20, and it has wonderful contrast colors, and I really want to make a sweet pair of socks with this, and those will be my Knit City Montreal socks. Okay, and then I bought this wonderful neon mini set from Leo and Roxy. I'd been hearing about Leo and Roxy everywhere, of course, and when I went by their booth and saw this neon mini set, I was so excited. I want to make a sweater or cardigan for my friend's baby, and I thought this would be so nice to use the neutral yarn in the background and stripe it with these fun colors for a child. So I ended up with this beautiful neon set from Leo and Roxy. And then I went to the Akara Yarns booth, and they had very beautiful fiber. They had very beautiful yarn as well, but I wanted to try some of their fiber. So first I got this Cheviot in this beautiful, very earthy and very muted and beautiful colors. I am so pleased with this. I haven't been spinning much, but now that I've bought all this fiber, I need to spin again. And then this is one of my favorite things I picked up. Like, those colors are just stunning. So yeah, so I ended up getting this from Akara Yarns, and this is actually a very interesting merino, brown alpaca, camel and mulberry silk base. Like, this is just decadent and so beautiful. So this is what I ended up with from Akara Yarns. And then there was a vendor, and I'm gonna struggle saying their name, but there was a very wonderful vendor with beautiful colors, and the name is My Apar, and it's a French vendor, like French Canadian vendor. I think they're based out of Montreal, but they don't have a brick and mortar. It's an online store only. And one of the owners was wearing the fringe kimono pattern by Irene Lin, and she was wearing this in this beautiful black charcoal black color. It's an alpaca silk linen blend yarn, and I just fell in love with the sweater that she had on, the kimono itself, and the yarn that she was that she had made it in. So I ended up getting the same yarn in a different colorway. So yeah, so that's the name of the vendor, and it is 50% baby alpaca, 25% silk and 25% linen. So it's a very luxurious yarn, and it is so soft and drapey, and I really want to make the same pattern, the fringe kimono by Irene Lin. And then finally, as I mentioned, that I want to make a lentoff with this, so I bought some suri to go along with this, and this is Gelaine. It's suri silk yarn, and I liked this rose gold kind color with this. I know it'll make it a bit darker, but I think I'm gonna really enjoy wearing that lento. So I picked up the suri alpaca to go with Mel's yarn for the lento. So yeah, I actually will, within the span of talking about the festival, also showed you my yarny purchases. I hope you didn't mind that. I do have some footage from the festival. There was a lot of people there. There were a lot of people there, and it was so much fun to see everyone, and everyone was dressed so spectacularly. Like, they were wearing such amazing knits, beautiful garments, and I actually wore my Alanis top, which is a design by Elizabeth Smith, and I had made it in Pearl Soho Lantern last year. So I didn't wear a new knit. I wore that because it goes with my estuary skirt that I sewed. Estuary skirt is a design by Sew Liberated, and I made it in a linen, yellow mustard linen, and I really wanted to be comfortable because it was quite warm, and I thought that all the people in the yarn festival, it would be warm indoors because it was a closed venue. So I decided to wear a skirt and that linen top, and it was a good choice. I was wearing like sneakers with it, so I was very comfortably dressed to be on my feet all day. And people were wearing such beautiful makes, and oh my god, you have to wait for Mel's. I'm expecting my video will be released before Mel releases hers, but Mel was wearing this epic outfit that she planned for CITY Montreal. She designed the vest herself. The pants were also sewn by her, and it was just amazing. I was so like inspired by her outfit. It was so much fun to see that, and she was like sharing her making process and journey with us over text, but it was no comparison to actually see it in person. It was just amazing, and she's so talented. It was so beautiful, her outfit. And I'm not gonna talk too much about it because I know she's gonna do a full video on that, so you must watch that. And I am so inspired. This particular I just showed you the Muse yarn for the Moon Crush tank. I have plans to make a pair of pants with it myself, so kind of taking a piece of a page from Mel's book and trying to put together an outfit. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed the festival, and it was so nice hanging out with Mel and Salma. And Salma was wearing her Afro pullover, which I love. It is in this beautiful orange color, almost like color like this. And I've been wanting to make the Afro since Salma made her Afro. Like yeah, and I think Selma wanted to finish a different knit for the festival, but of course because of her wrist injury and everything, she wasn't able to do that. But her knits are always so beautiful. So her Afro, and she was wearing a skirt with her Afro, so it looked perfect. So we were all dressed in our knits, and I think we were in at the festival until 5 p.m. and that was like the closing time. And after that, we were so ready to go back to the Airbnb and just relax. We went back. We looked at all the yarn we bought. Of course, we were still talking about yarn and knitting and everything. And then right next to our Airbnb was a restaurant where we went for dinner. It was kind of a fancy-ish restaurant, I would say, but we had like excellent food. And we got gigantic desserts, which we struggled to finish, but I think it was a good choice we made after the entire festival was over. Like, we were tired, my legs were hurting. And then after dinner, we still knit for a bit, and then next day morning was Sunday morning. We again woke up, still knitting. Of course, that's the constant throughout the trip, knitting and chatting about knitting. And then I think we checked out about 11 a.m. and then it was straight back home because I had a 9.5-hour drive to come back home. And the drive was very easy. I made it back, no worries. And it was funny, like even during the drive, I was talking about knitting. Casey and I were talking about, we were exchanging voice notes about plans we had, and I was telling Casey about the festival and everything. So I was talking about knitting the whole weekend. Like, that's all I did. And then now I'm here again talking to you about knitting. This never ends, right? Like, we can talk about yarn and knitting forever and ever. So yeah, so the festival was amazing. It was so nice to see Mel and Salma again, and I'm definite that we will be meeting again and again. I think we enjoy doing, and it's always nice to do these festivals with someone, right? And you get to see so many new people and talk about yarn and look at the projects. I was very impressed with what everybody was wearing. It was just spectacular. Everyone was dressed in such beautiful garments that they'd made themselves. I left with a lot of ideas, and I think now I'm planning stuff for Rhinebeck. I'm thinking about that, what my outfit's gonna look like. It's fun, right? Like, you plan all these knits to go with. Now because I'm sewing also, I'm planning other sewn garments and then knits to go with it, and trying to match. Like, I don't just make one knit, one garment, right? Like, I'm trying to make stuff that goes well with my existing knits, and you know, so that I can mix and match and make multiple outfits out of the same pieces. So I think I left with a lot of inspiration, and it was so wonderful to see everyone. And if you were there and we spoke to each other, I was so happy to do that. There were a lot of people there, and in the afternoon, actually on Saturday, it was much quieter, and some of my friends who went on Sunday did say that Sunday was much quieter than Saturday. But we weren't. I mean, Monday is a holiday in Canada, but I don't have a vacation because it's not a holiday in the US. I would have liked to take another day off, but I'm traveling again for work tomorrow, so there was no way I could take today off. And today's Monday, by the way, if I didn't mention that. At the end of the episode, I'm like, okay, yeah, today is Monday. It's the 22nd of May. But yeah, I have more work travel happening this week again, and then next week. So I'm traveling a bit too much. I'm exhausted from it. My face is breaking out from it because I'm eating rubbish, basically. But we had good food in Montreal. I could have done without the traffic, but the yarn was amazing, the festival was amazing, and we made a good choice by staying so close to the venue so that we could walk there and not have to Uber or take our cars out or anything like that. Yeah, so that pretty much sums up the festival. I hope I've not missed out on anything, and I have I'm gonna, during editing, I'm gonna put a lot of footage from the festival, and it was very nice to see everyone. I did actually walk out with another purchase which I'm just remembering, and I'm gonna put a picture of a print I got, which I'm gonna frame and put up in the house somewhere. So that's the last acquisition that I forgot to mention, and I just remembered thinking of all the non-yarn vendors that were there. There was actually a very beautiful vendor who had Harris Tweed bags. They were stunning bags, and I really wanted to get one, but I felt like I had spent enough money on yarn and I didn't need to put any further dents in my wallet. So and we did walk out with the yarn swap we did was amazing, so that was fun. Yeah, I think it was a much needed distraction from work, but now I'm back thinking about work. But like the knitting's always happening, that is a constant, so that never goes away. Yep, so that was everything about Knit City Montreal. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed all my project updates, and I hope you're doing well in general, because I know I've not been around so much. Do let me know if you are planning to visit any yarn festivals this year, or you are going to Rhinebeck and you have plans for Rhinebeck. Do let me know what you're up to. If you're just knitting and you're vicariously living through all the people who are putting up knitting festival updates on YouTube. I know Maryland Sheep and Wool happened earlier this month, and I was watching some videos of people who went to the Maryland Sheep and Wool festival. I did want to go this year, but I had a conference that was too close to the festival, and I couldn't go to Maryland Sheep and Wool. So I have some friends who went there, so I'm kind of looking forward to touching base with them. I'm just checking because I have this plant here, and the cats have come in, and they are kind of not kind to my plants. So we've been doing a lot of gardening. I've been putting more flowers in the garden. I've started propagating some of my pothos and spider plant, and I have bought new plants. I have monsteras coming, peperomia is coming. So I'm doing a lot of gardening and a lot of knitting. So that is what I'm doing when I'm not working. Not podcasting. Today I was podcasting, so today I am podcasting. But yeah, so that has been, I think this is a long enough video. Next time I see you, I hope to be here with my mom, because she has stuff that she needs to update you on. And I am gonna try and finish sewing the blanket that the squares are done, and I'm like putting them together, so I'm gonna try and do that. between all this work travel, but hope to see you soon. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for always supporting me. It was really nice being back here and talking to you about knitting, and I hope you enjoyed my quick recap of Knit City Montreal, and I hope you enjoyed looking at all my yarn that I purchased, and I need to get going and I need to get knitting. Alright, stay safe, take care, and happy crafting. Bye.